Welcome to the Progress Zone podcast, where we help you create real momentum in your mindset, business, health, and life. I'm your host, Jody Donaldson, and every week we'll explore the small, intentional steps that lead to big, lasting growth. This isn't about hype, it's about habits. So let's get started. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Progress Zone podcast. Today, we're talking about what it really looks like to build something of your own. Not the idea of it, not the highlight reel, but the day-to-day reality behind it. And to do that, I've got my fraternity brother, David Muir, joining me today. He's the owner of Footprints Floors of Fairfax, where he's built and grown a business in a competitive home services space. David, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Jody. Great to see you.
Well, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be interesting for a lot of folks to hear kind of what it's like to start your own. And so maybe we'll just start there. Like, what were you doing before Footprints Floors and kind of what led you down this path?
Jody, first of all, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Flattered for the invite. I know your podcast is really communicating some great messages. So a bit about my background. I spent almost the last 20 years of my career in the nonprofit space. I was helping veterans and their family members find jobs after service. Very rewarding career. However, I've got a son with Down syndrome. And although I made a decent living as a nonprofit executive, I wasn't going to be able to retire him. And so I closed that chapter of my life, and I had counseled thousands of veterans over the course of my career on the benefits of franchising. Veterans make exceptional franchise partners. So I took a bit of my own advice and started exploring. And I found Footprints. Footprints was created by an Air Force Academy graduate. He spent some time laying floors. He didn't know what he wanted to do when he got out. So like so many of us, found out that he liked the industry, grew into sales management, realized just how corrupt the construction industry was. And so he created Footprints to be better. Our number one corporate value is integrity, which resonated with me a lot as a veteran, as you might imagine. Fairfax County happened to be available. I've grown up here. You and I both went to Mason. I know this area intimately. My kids go to the same high school I did.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So, yeah. So for me, it just made a ton of sense. I could afford it. I'd been handy in my lifestyle before. Grew up as a helper for a home improvement company back from 9th grade through halfway through college. So I took a risk and cashed in my IRA and bought a franchise, and I'm going after it now. We're May 1st is officially our 21st month in business, and yesterday we just got our 93rd 5-star review, so we're doing something right.
Nice. Wow. Congratulations on that. That's huge. And I love that story. I mean, I think, knowing what you did before, but then knowing that there was a different calling or something else that you needed to do and wanted to do and had the means to do. I think that's sometimes a hard decision for folks. Did you use a franchise consultant when you did that, or did you just explore on your own at the different franchises out there?
So as a veteran, we're a target for franchise consultants, and I've been hit up for a dozen years or more by franchise consultants, and I never paid them much mind. I was very satisfied in what I was doing, fulfilled professionally. But after my divorce, my income was curbed, as you might imagine. Sure. And I was all right. It was fortunately an amicable separation, but I did realize that my income potential as a nonprofit person was capped.
Sure.
And so when I made this decision, I happened to hop on LinkedIn and saw a franchise consultant that was in my inbox. And today I decided to give one a call. And I worked with him, and I contacted a few others and examined a number of opportunities. But ultimately, Footprints was the best match for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think I too used a franchise consultant when I built out the studio, and it was so helpful because it's an overwhelming process. There's thousands and thousands of franchises. I looked at brick and mortar. I looked at home services. Home services is a huge category that seems to be growing like crazy. So it's interesting that you used them and found that to be helpful and ultimately led you to that. A lot of people sometimes talk about, well, why franchise and why pay the fees and why do all that instead of starting your own? What did you see the advantage of using, of going to a franchise versus just starting your own?
Well, I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I've started 7 businesses.
Wow.
And 6 of them have failed before I sold it off. Okay. So that's okay.
That's
that
fair.
happens with,
those are learning opportunities.
Absolutely. And I've opened a number of restaurants in my career. The most recent program was a veteran staffing network for Easter Seals that I created, which was designed to be the first self-sustaining employment program for veterans in the history of ever for the U.S. And we reached sustainability. So I knew what it took to build a business from the ground up. And a big piece of that is infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so the benefit of a franchise, and really a big piece of this is as a potential franchise partner, you need to do your due diligence.
Sure.
This organization, Footprints, really takes care of its franchise partners. So I pay about a 10% scrape off of my gross revenues. But what that gives me is a call center. So anytime a prospective client comes in and is interested, I don't even know they exist until my call center puts them on my calendar as a confirmed lead.
Nice.
They have a national advertising campaign that part of my dues goes to, right? I have CRM systems, which is how we manage our customers and our email communications and our quotes for clients and our contracts and our payment systems and everything else. So when you look at that, it's 10%. What is 10% of my time worth? And the reality is I didn't have to set any of that up. The branding was already established. Even though nobody had heard of Footprints Floors in Fairfax County, we had a national presence. So for me, it made a ton of sense to, and I wouldn't say sacrifice, but invest 10% of my gross proceeds for the infrastructure that I didn't have to build from scratch, from the brand recognition, from the website, which, we've got a corporate website across the board that's got great SEO capabilities and is constantly evolving. So all these little things added up to a good use of my time in a service that I respected, something I was comfortable in. And they invested a ton in education. One of the things that they do with owners is ensure that they're book smart when it comes to the flooring industry.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, having a good flooring contractor is a lot like having a good mechanic. Most people don't know how a car works. They've got to trust their mechanic. Well, there's a lot of dynamics to the flooring industry. I mentioned I was handy. I even installed 2 floors in my old house.
Oh, wow.
Wrong, now that I know what I'm doing. But the funny thing is that house, I sold it off. It's not my problem, but they're in my territory. So if they ever call me back and say, we need a new floor, what the heck did this person do?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm now certified in 2 organizations I didn't even know existed a couple of years ago. So I'm book smart and I find crews that are street smart, and together we generate those 5-star results.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I think, a lot of people really kind of sit on the idea of doing something like this, right? But they just never move. Was it the experience that you had doing these other businesses that gave you the confidence to actually take that leap? Or what would you say gave you that?
Yeah, well, I'm confident in my ability to manage a business. I'm aware enough of the different facets of business, from marketing and sales and admin and payroll and all these things from my previous experience. So I felt very competent managing a business. But taking your life savings and converting it into an investment, was terrifying, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur is not all sunshine and roses, right?
No.
It's great to control your own schedule. It's fantastic to have the flexibility to go and see my daughter's event or my son's event, or participate in other nonprofit activities or community development opportunities. But at the end of the day, when it's dark and quiet, it's still on you. So
Yeah.
for those who are entertaining opening their own business, the true and most important thing is looking in the mirror and asking if you can depend on yourself to get up every day before the alarm goes off, not hit the snooze button, take care of your daily business with your family, but then go to work, service your customers, find new customers, do all the things that business management requires you to do. And if you're not capable of living and breathing your business while simultaneously living and breathing your family, I would challenge somebody to really strongly consider whether or not they're a good entrepreneur.
Yeah, agree. I agree 100% with that. And I'm sure, I'm just curious, did you do a rollover for business startups, a Rob's program?
As a matter of fact, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
And, it was an expensive process.
Yeah.
You do need to have a good agent that's going to help you manage that. And I did through connections. The challenge there is you need to become a C Corp when you do that. And what I found is my business lost enough money during that first year, because let's face it, new businesses lose money the first year. You got to be ready to handle that. I lost enough money to be able to cover the taxes and penalties I would have had for rolling over the IRA. So
there you go.
I was actually able to file as an S Corp. So it ended up working out-ish, if you want to consider losing a significant chunk of change as a benefit. But we're on track. We were almost profitable in year 2. We haven't even finished year 2, but we're looking like we're going to have a profitable year 2, barely. But then year 3 plus, that's really when things pay off. But as a new entrepreneur, you really need to be ready for watching that dollar value of your personal wealth decrease before it increases.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and besides the fear of losing your retirement, right? That you had, the nest egg you had built, was there any? What were your biggest fears going into this? Like, other than that, because I know that's always probably top of mind. Oh my gosh, this didn't work. I lost everything. But did you have other fears?
Yeah, dollars are always a piece of it. But when I was evaluating my particular business opportunity, flooring, everybody's got a floor. I live in Fairfax County, which is got almost 1.4 million people in it. There's about a 65% ownership versus rental. So it was a good target, and it was an area that I knew very well. But I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't terrified. What don't I know? Because I'm a planner. I like to not be surprised as much as possible. And anytime you're starting something new, there's I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
Then there's I know what I don't know. Then I know what I know, and I can teach what I know. And I got to tell you, Jody, I think I learned that lesson from the 1 Minute Manager books, which are fantastic if your viewership has never heard of them. But that's really the reality. Is I mean, I'm almost 2 years in. I'm certified. I continue to learn every single day. I realize the things that I forgot during my training, because you're absorbing so much information in such a short amount of time. And really it is, experience is the greatest teacher.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, and so thus far, it doesn't sound like any of those fears that you potentially had have happened, which is a good thing, right? Like you're like you said, you're going into year 2, 21 months. That's awesome. Now that you're in it, what's been harder than you expected? Just an overall, in any part of it?
A big piece of it was learning the reality of regulations and contractor licensing.
Interesting.
A hard lesson I learned was the particular license designation. Even though I'm a Class A contractor in Virginia, and I had the FLR designation, which is what corporate told me to get, the regulations for being a contractor are different in each state. Some states don't even require a business license. You can just hang a shingle and go.
Oh, wow.
Virginia and California, to my understanding, are some of the most difficult to run a contracting business legally. And so the guidance that I got from my franchisor was solid, and it enabled me to begin business. But to be able to venture out and do things outside of that designation, which I qualify for, I just didn't know about. And I had to go and do studying and learn about it. And so it's really important, if you're a franchisee, that you make sure you're knowledgeable about your local governmental restrictions, whether that's making sure that you got the right permits or the right license or the right, X, Y, or Z. It's really important not only to do your due diligence on the franchisor, but do your due diligence on what the regulations around what you're going to be doing as a professional are for your locality.
Yeah. I think that's super important too. And I think like you said, I didn't realize that you had to have a contractor's license to do that home service business, right? Like, and that the franchisor gave you, the information of how to get that started. But then, like you said, it opens up so many more opportunities by getting that Class A and having that. Yeah.
So for example, in Virginia, although I'm a Class A with a flooring designation, I cannot charge you, the client, to repair drywall.
Oh, wow.
Or your house, right? So there are different specialties. And again, different states have different obligations.
Sure.
With a national franchisee, Footprints is the largest national flooring installer in the country.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at the flooring industry, there's people who make money selling the product and who make money installing the product, right?
Yeah.
So most companies who make the product they've got size, right? Because making a product is not inexpensive. But most flooring installers are small, local, what we like to call chuck in the truck. They've come up learning from their father, and flooring is what they do, kind of thing. They're not necessarily specialized in the National Wood Flooring Association standards, for example, right? So Footprints being as solidified as it is, we're almost a $55 million company. I was franchisee number 83, I believe, and we're close to 100 at this point, and that's less than 2 years. We're exploding across the country.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let me ask you, as a business owner and doing this now for almost 2 years, what does a typical week actually look like for you as the owner operator?
So in the beginning, it's extremely reactionary, right? You sell a deal, you have your crew deployed, and you forgot shoe molding or transitions, or you didn't charge them for X, Y, or Z because it didn't register with you that you needed to do this.
Yeah.
Right. So the beginning is the hard learning lessons, and they're financial, right?
Yeah.
Financial meaning, one, I've got to waste some of my time going and fetching these materials because I forgot them. And financially, number two, I didn't charge for it. Like my very first job, I forgot to charge for transitions, and it cost me $1,500. Now, it was a big job.
Sure.
But still, it was $1,500 out of my pocket.
Right.
So these little things along the way that are learning. And then as you know what you don't know and then evolve into I know what I know, those mistakes happen less and less and less. And then it becomes the management of your crews, the management of your customers' expectations. I don't care what industry, and managing your customers' expectations is a really important part of business. And then helping to diffuse challenges that may occur, that will occur, depending on the project,
Sure.
over time, right? Customer has this expectation, and this is the reality, or they plan a certain way, and as you get going on that project, you realize that it needs to go a different direction if it's going to be done correctly to satisfy them. So I would say that I'm still in the I know what I don't know phase. I've got a lot more to learn. Haven't only been doing this for just under 2 years, but I've learned a breadth and wealth of information, and I'm excited to continue forward. It's my favorite job because now it's all on me. If I don't show up to work, I don't have anybody else to blame.
Right.
And the spirit of an entrepreneur is just that.
Yeah.
Right. It's all on me. And there's an awful lot of people who have that level of confidence. And let's face it, small business is the backbone of the American economy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. And I think too, it is super empowering to know, like when you've been in corporate or nonprofit or government, it's kind of like you're capped. No matter how hard you work, it doesn't matter. But when you're kind of have that power to know the efforts you put in and the time and the energy, that it could be rewarding as it grows and continues to be lucrative. And I think that's super empowering for a lot of folks that might feel stuck. Right. So
there's a lot of people who hit a glass ceiling in their careers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who find the conflicts of a corporate or government bureaucracy in their workplace stifling. The dealing with the same issues every day, or just being stuck in general.
Yeah.
Right. And they fantasize about becoming their own employer. And to those people, I would say there are opportunities out there, but you need to have that ethos that the progress zone pushes out, right? Yeah. It's that strength of character, that strength of will, that confidence in yourself, constantly investing in yourself, right? Because I'm not going to say, listen, there are dark days as an entrepreneur at the beginning, right? Am I going to be able to meet payroll?
Yeah.
Can I pay myself? How am I going to get this credit card bill paid off without having to pay 25% interest?
Yeah.
Those are realities of owning your own business, right? But the flip side of that is once you get across the threshold and once your business has taken off and built its reputation and has word of mouth customers coming to you, things ease up a little bit. But if you're not ready to sprint 24/7 for the first 24 months or so, I would really caution you on opening your own business.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's, like you said, you got to look in the mirror and know that, hey, I can tackle these days, because there are days where it's dark and it's lonely and you're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? And
why did I pick this? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, almost 2 years. Are you at a point now where you feel like, okay, this is working? Or are you still in that all right, we got to get this thing going?
No, we're still ramping it up. So my particular industry has been hit, particularly because of my location, being here in Fairfax County. About 60% of my workforce either works for the government or is a government contractor. We've been hit with challenges such as the government shutdown, the threat of the government shutdown, prolonged government shutdown. So, I mean, candidly, I've had to take a second job. I'm waiting tables. keeping the lights on, but making sure that the revenue that's coming into the business stays in the business instead of paying me.
Yep.
But yes, we're gaining momentum. I mean, instead of me having to pay for leads, right? So I used to use services like Google Local Service Ads and Thumbtack. I now have gotten rid of those because I'm starting to see my reviews and my social media presence and all the work that we're doing on the back end starting to pay off, where the majority of my estimates are now coming in from people finding me online, or I've recently had a couple of estimates that have come in from people finding me on AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Another thing. So the more you put out into the ethos, the more positive reviews you have, the more people talk about you, the more people can see the great work that you've done on social media, the more they will begin to come to you. And that's where the switch flips, right? Because right now for paid search, it costs me almost $200 to walk into your door.
Yeah.
Just to walk into your door. And you may have a project that's underneath my $2,500 minimum.
Right.
You just may want this little thing, right? And so the conversion rate of when I walk in the door to actually a paying job, you're around 20%.
Yeah.
So if you can flip those walk-ins from 200 a piece to 50 a piece, and you're talking 30, 40 estimates a month, that's a significant financial shift in your business.
Yeah.
But again, that's why it takes time. That's why it takes getting those positive reviews, talking to your customers about getting those positive reviews throughout the entire time. I set the expectation with my customer that I'm going to ask for that 5-star review at the end.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on the job site every day. You're going to get a note from my customers saying, hey, this is when my crew's going to arrive. Hey, here's a recap of what happened today. Should something come up that was unexpected, hey, here's what happened today. And here's a couple of solutions that we can think through for this unanticipated problem. The more high touch and over communicative you are with your customers, the more likely they are to give you that 5-star review.
Yeah.
And those 5-star, I mean, let's face it, people shop by stars today.
That's it. That organic growth is so key. And the referral base and building, 93 reviews, you said that's amazing in 2 years. Like it's hard to get people to do that, but I love how you set it up ahead of time to be like, look, we're going to ask for this at the end of it. This is how we grow. This is how I'm a small business owner and this is what we need. And I don't think people understand the value of those for small businesses. For us, it's so important to get that. So then when someone's searching flooring companies near me, that you come up first in the organic search, and now they see your reviews, and now you're the one they call. And I think, I hear you on that. And I think it makes me think like, you don't know this stuff until you're in it and doing it. Like you had mentioned before, you don't know what you don't know. But like, if you were to start over right now, would you focus on anything in particular, knowing what you know now, like looking back, like, oh, I wish I would have done that right away, because I think that would have got me some more momentum, or no?
Jody, I'm not one to look backwards.
Okay. Fair.
I had several concussions in the military, and my memory's worthless anyway, honestly. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I accept, and any entrepreneur needs to accept that they're going to make mistakes in the beginning.
Sure.
They may be small, they may be large, but whatever they are, they're going to happen, right? And it's really how you navigate those mistakes and how you learn from them that's going to dictate your success moving forward, right? So looking back, would I have changed anything? I can't think of anything that I've gone through that I would have changed.
Yeah.
Because what I know now is a direct result of those hiccups that I've had along the way, which are only going to empower my business. And as I grow and get to the point where I'm going to be bringing on additional employees, that's information that I can pass along to them to shorten their learning curve.
Right.
So that the business continues to evolve and grow in a way that is more efficient, right? But the speed of the leader is the speed of the group at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not getting up, putting your boots on and saying, let's go get it, and that's not your kind of mindset every day, if you're going to look backwards and say, why didn't I do this or why didn't I do that? You may not be cut out for entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
Because every day you got to say, here's my reality and here's the energy, effort that I need to put in to improve this business.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I think too, when it's good that you don't look back. I can appreciate that piece of it because, I just look at it as like, what did I learn or what am I learning now that I didn't know? But for you, what's changed the most about how you think just in general since becoming a business owner?
I'll give you a great example, right? When I start a project and I need materials on site, there are small facets, whether it's a transition from one room to another, or whether it's I need glue for this particular application, or I need to make sure that I have this material on site for my crew, right? Those things are now automatic for me where they were a reactionary situation in the past.
Yeah.
Things like educating my customer about their subfloor, for example, and this approach, like at a condo, right? We need to have a sound muffling sublayer. Well, that wasn't covered in my training, but that's real when I look at the condo documents and what is the right subfloor laying. And I didn't price that appropriately, and now I got to eat it because I've got a contract in place, right? Those are the kinds of things that if I waved a magic wand, I would have seen $20,000 or $30,000 on the positive end of my P&L.
Right.
But those are all valuable learning mistakes because I'm not going to make those mistakes again, and it makes me more knowledgeable.
Right.
One thing that I would encourage your viewers who are considering entrepreneurialism to think about, though, is communicating their why to their customers.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, there are very few businesses that are unique in nature. You've got a gym. There's millions of gyms.
Yeah.
I've got a flooring company. There's millions of flooring companies. So if somebody is thinking about spending their valuable money, and let's face it, whether it's $1 or $100,000 or $1 million, it's their valuable money, right? And they're considering giving it to you for your product or service. The differentiator is you, the entrepreneur, right? Zig Ziglar, one of the most famous salespeople ever, said nobody sells anything, but people buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And so communicating your why. Why did you open your business? What did you see as the opportunity? What was your mission? For example, my mission was my son with Down syndrome.
Yep.
Letting them know your journey and how you got to them. Now, I'm not saying make it a therapy session and tell them all your woes, but I am saying let them know who they're working with. Be as transparent with them as possible because people want to buy from real people.
Yes.
And those people who are transparent enough and human enough to show who they are as a person, infinitely more likable than those who are the, stereotypical salesperson who just continues to push and what can I do to earn your business today kind of stuff. That old school sales methodology doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. What you just said is so key. I think it's so important to think of it that way. And, I think it's this is kind of the progress zone, right? That's like constant forward movement to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday. And being an entrepreneur is going to make you better each day because you learn, because you go through these mistakes, you won't make them again. And you go from there. Would you tell your younger self anything different, like knowing what you know now before you started this?
I don't think that I would.
Okay.
Right. Like, I'm going to be 54 next week, Jody. So my younger self has got a lot of iterations behind it.
Yeah.
Right. I made this decision as a some might say competent adult. I don't necessarily know if that's always the truth, right? I guess if I was going to say, would I do anything different? It would be more education.
Yeah.
Maybe going and going to visit several job sites with maybe some of my colleagues before I opened my doors. I had a few months while I waited for my SBA loan to come through, and I could have reached out to some of my peers and say, hey, can I shadow you?
Yeah.
Just to shorten my learning curve, but
Sure.
that's not everybody's experience. But I think if there is one thing I would change, it would be that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I so appreciate this conversation and story, because I think there's just, and we mentioned this earlier, and you've mentioned a lot of good tidbits about what it takes, the mindset to be an entrepreneur and what it looks like. But I do think there's still people our age that are just stuck. They're unhappy in their work. They're unhappy in their life, their relationships, whatever. And so it's kind of like, if someone listening right now who's just sitting on the fence about starting something, what would you tell them?
Just start, right? So think of it like writing a book, right? You're not going to write a novel in one day.
Right.
You're not. Or going to the gym, to use your universe, right? I'm out of shape. You're not all of a sudden going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger tomorrow, right? It is the fundamental baby steps, for lack of a better way to put it. Say, I want to create this change in my life, whatever it is. It could be business, your business. It could be your personal relationships. It could be whatever it is. But, you know, that old adage, getting started is the hardest step. And that is true. But once you start to commit to that change, right, then it's committing to. So it's not starting to commit. It is actually making that commitment. You do it the first time.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I'm going to do it the next time. And it is creating that habit of working on betterment of self, whatever that definition is for the individual, that matters the most, right? Yeah. So that I would encourage anybody who is entertaining entrepreneurialism or creating a change in their life to really evaluate the why. Right. Understand your why before you worry about communicating it to anybody else. That why has got to be very real for you.
Right.
Nobody changes without that internal motivation. So, and everybody's got it inside. And there's a lot of people, like you said, our peers who are feeling beat down professionally. They're just stuck in the rut, stuck in the grind. And yes, they are. And they may not be able to flip a switch and get out of that tomorrow. But it doesn't mean that a year from now, they couldn't be in a very different situation in their life that was extremely fulfilling.
Yeah. Man, I love that. I love that so much, because you said it. At the end of the day, it's not about having everything figured out, right? Like, it's just about taking that first step, continuing to move forward, getting those little consistent wins, start stacking them, and then you get that momentum, right? And I always say it's progress over perfection every single time. And I think that's so true. And I don't think a lot of people truly understand that. Like, just do something, just move forward and, you know, educate yourself, learn something, you know, do whatever it is to get you so that your future self is thanking you for continually to improve in life. Right.
Yeah. There's a saying that I've heard throughout my career, and it's called perfection paralysis.
Yeah.
There are an awful lot of people who are committed to doing the right thing, but they're not going to move until they're sure it's going to be a perfect right thing.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurialism is far from perfect.
There is no perfect.
Far from perfect.
Yeah.
Right. So it is that pushing the boulder up the hill, for lack of a better way to put it. Right. And I know I'm speaking cliches a lot, but if you're pushing this rock up a hill, it may pivot to the right or pivot to the left based on the hill that you're pushing it up. And you gotta pivot with it, right? Yeah. To get it to crest of that hill before it starts rolling over the other edge. So it is the continual effort that makes the entrepreneur, and corrective action. Don't get me wrong. Right. It's not just effort. If you're not doing corrective action based on what you're learning, you're probably subject to fail. But if you are making that effort and you are focused on refining what you do wrong into what you do right, listen, my favorite saying, and it's my voicemail and has been for decades now, is Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Absolutely.
I believe in the mindset that if you believe in yourself, anything's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, David, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your experience and just being real. And I think you also touched on it. I think in our world of social media and influencers and things like that, like we just want real people who are transparent. You know what you're getting. You want to build some rapport and some trust so that you feel like you're, really making that connection versus, just. And I just don't think there's enough of that. I think a lot of people are craving that honesty, that transparency, that, that rapport early on. So I just thank you for being here, man. This has been awesome.
Jody, it's been my great pleasure. Thank you very much for the invite. I hope some of or all of what I said, ideally, but at least some of what I've shared resonates with some of your viewers. I know that you touch an awful lot of people in what you do. So thank you for that too.
Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate that. For folks that want to know how to get you, what's the best way to do that?
So if you search Footprints Floors of Fairfax, so Footprints Floors Fairfax, footprintsfloors.com/Fairfax, or you can find me on Footprints Floors Fairfax on Instagram and Facebook. You'll be able to see an awful lot of the projects that we do. Or they can contact me directly. My cell phone, 703-855-1199. It's on my hip, and I'm here to answer any questions your viewers may have.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes so folks can come check your socials out, see what you're all about. And if you're in Northern Virginia and you need flooring, Dave's your guy. So make sure you reach out.
Hit me up, buddy.
I love it. Well, and for everyone listening, if you got value out of this, just please share it with someone who's been talking about starting something but hasn't taken that step yet. Sometimes all it takes is hearing the real story behind it. So keep showing up, keep doing the work, and keep moving forward. And I'll see you next time inside the Progress Zone. Thanks for joining me in the Progress Zone. If today's episode gave you a spark, share it with a friend, subscribe, or leave a quick review. And remember, progress isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. I'm Jody Donaldson, and I'll catch you next time inside the Progress Zone.